Jorge Linares, the Golden Boy, has probably been one of my most favourite offensive fighters of the last 10 years. With beautiful footwork, great combination punching and power, I just always found him an exciting fighter to watch. Linares' weakness was probably always his defense, but he used his offensive skills as a way to counteract this very weakness. The Venezuelan boxer is obviously coming to an end of his career now, but I still feel he's very much a fighter we can learn a lot from by looking back at his career. Jorge Linares also held world titles in 3 different weight divisions, which is truly impressive when you think about it for any boxer of this day and age. Yes, maybe you could say it doesn't mean as much because of the amount of world boxing organisations there is now in modern boxing today, but it's still a fantastic feat for a fighter that has come from Venezuela and made his way up to the very top of boxing. Now, in terms of Linares' boxing style, I think he typifies that perfect boxer-puncher, as he's honed his boxing skills and fighting spirit to show up and give it his all in the ring. I always thought it was interesting what his former coach, Ismael Salas, the very famous Cuban trainer, said about him. Linares is boxing, attack, defense and counter. When he hits, you will feel it. He can be a one-punch knockout guy, or he can be all night long hitting you. For me, this is a huge compliment to give from such a trainer, especially with his work with the Cuban team in the Olympics in the 90s, the other top fighters he's trained, the likes of Rigondeaux, Gamboa, Danny Green, and more recently Ugas, who he was in the corner with in his win over Pacquiao. But I guess it's important for me now to identify some of these areas to show what makes his offensive style so beautiful. The jab and setup. Now, just like all the top fighters, Linares has an excellent left jab which he uses to keep his opponents guessing while in the ring. Linares usually likes to double up his jab when throwing, usually by throwing it to initially occupy the guard and then the second jab to expose the body. He will also change the frequency of when he applies this. Linares will also use the jab to set up his most dangerous attacking techniques, his quick combination punching, which I'll now go into more detail about. Countering and combination punching. Now, one of the first things that stands out to me is Linares' combination punching. I think it's a thing of beauty when the Venezuelan gets going into his rhythm and attacking flurries. Usually Linares will use combination punching after his opponent has missed a jab or throws a right hand. Linares is extremely gifted and natural at firing back with 3 to 4 punches to keep his opponent off him. The other thing I love about his combinations is he will change his combinations going from head to body in very quick fashion while using different angled hooks, uppercuts and straight shots. It really does make you appreciate his ability to pull off these combinations. For counter-punching, it's all about slipping shots for Linares. His 2 favourites have to be slipping to the right and returning with the right hand, or slipping to the left and throwing an angled left uppercut. Footwork and defense. Now, although Linares isn't known for his defense, he does have some brilliant defensive attributes that help while he's fighting in the ring. Linares overall is a fighter that likes to fight from mid-range and apply pressure, but he does mainly use his footwork to get himself out of trouble or to restart his attack again. As he's always shuffling forward, he has to use his good upper body movement so he can slip and dodge attacks. But his footwork for me is something that may have saved him from getting bigger beatings over the years. He was extremely economical in his movements as well. Another aspect Linares gets underrated for, in my opinion, is his head movement and rolling from the hips. I have to admit he can be sloppy sometimes, as we've seen him get caught out, walking back in straight lines, or lowering his guard. This is only because I believe he gets caught in that offensive mindset. However, despite these frailties, I believe he has worked on his defense over the years, especially when you look at the work with Ismael Salas. He would use the famous broomstick, which you see a lot of the Cuban trainers use to work on his head movement, in particular punching and moving. The straight right and left hook. Now if you watch my recent video on Alexis Arguello, you can definitely see Linares is taking something from his book. Now the killer punch for me is Linares' straight right hand, which has KO'd and knocked down multiple opponents during his career. He most famously clipped Vasyl Lomachenko to the canvas for the first time in their fight in 2018. Now the other way Linares will use the right is by immediately throwing the left hook, which has been ever present in his career. To spice this up, sometimes Linares will throw a 2-3-2 combination to catch his opponents off guard with a returning right. The Venezuelan did this in his bout versus British lightweight Luke Campbell, which saw him plump to the ground as he was just not expecting it. Rhythm. Now the final point I want to talk about is Linares' rhythm. Watching Linares fight in his prime is one of the best things you can watch as a fighter. Yes, he's obviously very naturally gifted and he's very schooled in terms of all the fundamentals he's learned throughout the years. But his ability to change his rhythm constantly and force his opponent to second guess what he'll throw next is what makes him so successful in my opinion. You've probably seen me share the great quote by Sugar Ray Robinson before. Rhythm is everything in boxing. Every move you make starts with your heart, and that's in rhythm or you're in trouble. Your rhythm should set the pace of the fight. If it does, then you penetrate your opponent's rhythm. You will make him fight your fight. And that's what boxing is all about. In terms of Linares, that's exactly what he does. He's in rhythm with what he wants to do, so he can get off his offense, whether that be slipping punches, using waist movement, throwing feints. He's always changing and forcing the rhythm to benefit him. Obviously, as Linares has gotten older and probably slightly slower, fighters have been able to work out that rhythm. And because he's fighting guys like Devin Haney and Lomachenko, who are younger, faster at the time, have been able to work out his rhythm much more successfully than his past opponents. Final thoughts on Linares. It's just like Salas said, Linares is boxing. He comes with all the talent and skill set you want from a boxer, but he also has the heart of a fighter, which has made him incredibly fun to watch over the years. I highly recommend you watch Linares fight if you want to improve your offense. Hope you enjoyed this boxing technique video, guys. I thought I'd just change up the format for this video slightly and kind of just be a bit more open in my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Jorge Linares. I'd love to know. Do you think he's an underrated fighter? As always guys, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.